I had to ask you which part of teaching you most dislike, whether it's in the classroom or at home, I can probably guess it's the planning side of creating lesson plans, right? It's the admin. The reason being that A, it just takes so long. And I don't know about you, but I always felt that I'd rather spend my time doing something else. When I first started teaching, way back in the 80s, in the good old days, I don't have any memory of spending hours and hours of planning. I was a high school teacher back then. And so all my teaching was just based on literature and grammar. But the teaching in elementary and in early childhood is just so different, right? Now I had to teach English and math and science and history and geography and health and design and technology. And in my case, religion too. And as every teacher knows, to fit all that in is just about impossible. And thinking back, I clearly remember being at uni and talking about this. The whole morning session was on how you integrate across the curriculum and why this was a good idea. And it totally makes sense. But then here's the issue. You tootle off and you go on your practicum and you have to fit in with the way the class teacher runs the show. And so you forget about all that. And then you get to your own classroom and the workload hits you like a freight train. And you forget everything you've learned because now all you're trying to do is just prevent yourself from drowning. And I remember the day when I just thought to myself, surely there must be an easier way. And on top of that, I noticed, of course, we all know this, that young children can't sit still for very long. And I thought to myself, well, isn't it smarter just to teach in a way that fits in with children's natural tendencies? And of course, I then took a little bit of time, a little half a day or so, just to really watch and observe. And of course, you don't need to be a genius to figure this out, but it's what we all know, what all the experts tell us, but somehow we get into a classroom and we forget all about it because we're so under the pump. And that is that children just want to play. They want to socialize and they want to be with their friends. And they love a story. Story time. When you start reading to them, you notice, you can see them physically moving in closer, their eyes on the pages of the book, and they're actively listening. And for me, this was a light bulb moment. If I could create lessons using a picture book as a catalyst for all the learning we did, that could change everything. So usually what I've experienced is that you read a random picture book, you might do an art piece on it, and maybe something to do with comprehension, like you ask children to retell the story, to identify the beginning, middle, and end of the story, or something about the character, and that's it. And we move on, right? But now I started becoming more discerning with the books I was choosing, looking for books that would actually help me meet curriculum outcomes, creating learning experiences around children being hands-on, acting out the story or using puppets or creating art pieces or sculptures and connecting the story to either, and here's the rub, to either science or history or geography, so that children could see the connections across different learning areas. Because let's face it, how many times do we teach something and then children can't apply it outside of the lesson? It happens all the time. And I remember we were learning about movement. This is back in the day, a few years ago in pre-primary, how things move. And that's kindergarten for you if you're my American friend. And because I learned about floor books and talking tubs from the great Clay Warden, I had my talking tub and it had photographs and artifacts and objects all around movement. And I also happened in there to have a picture of a fish. And you're probably going to think, hey, but hang on a minute. And that there was one photograph that sparked an entire project on how different sea creatures move. And now, of course, I still did the experiments with ramps, with different surfaces, But the whole theme of movement took on a life of its own. Children started wondering, well, why do dolphins and whales have different tails to sharks and other fish? They started making models of tails and, with little push pins and thinking about why these animals' tails were different. And that got me reading the picture books like Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle and Sharing a Shell by Julia Donaldson and A House for Hermit Crab also by Eric Carle. And then someone in the class brought in their hermit crab pets, which we all got to observe for a few weeks. And I remember doing some really cool wire sculptures and still having children retell the story, still doing comprehension activities and math activities where we were measuring fish. I can't remember, someone was a fishmonger and brought in a fish and we measured them. We stepped out the size of whales. And since we were now immersed in fish and movement, it meant that I could set up even a water station with experiments in sinking and floating, which then led to discovering that the more air there is in something, the less dense it was, the better it floated. And so by finding books that linked to curriculum areas, I was able to allow the children to lead the learning going along with their interests. But unbeknown to them, steered by me, because I know what I had to cover in the curriculum, but they got really involved in doing the learning. It really was an incredible experience. It brought such joy to the children. But what it did for me was to truly bring joy to my heart, because teaching was what it was meant to be. It was age appropriate. It was hands-on. It was playful. And I could tick off so many areas of the curriculum just by doing one simple reading of a story. And here's the thing. I know that for many, and this could be you, this can be challenging, especially if you're not that experienced. With everything you already have to do, it might feel overwhelming to get started. So what I've done is I've created a comprehensive lesson plan for you around the picture book, The Tiger Who Came to Tea by Judith Kerr. It's a classic. It's been road tested by a friend of mine. It ticks off English, math, biological sciences, humanities, geography, art, design, plus it includes those all-important inquiry and wonder questions for deeper learning, and extension activities with metacognition prompts and graphic organizers to help give students some structure around their inquiry project into tigers, as well as an animal of their own choosing. It includes planning for having a tea party with math activities all around planning a tea party and even setting up a tea party. I've really included all the playful learning that would make it fun for children to learn about afternoon tea in different cultures and, of course, tigers and other animals, which all children just love. It is also differentiated and suitable from K to 2. All you have to do is pick out the parts that are applicable to your learners. And now, this is not a free resource. It's totally affordable because I wanted to make sure that it's accessible to every single one of you and to help you ease your burden, your time burden. It's going to save you hours and hours of planning time, giving you back your life to spend with your loved ones instead of scrambling for lesson plan ideas. It's also the type of lesson plan that can easily be included into your literacy and your math rotations. I've included a guide for you so that you can just plug them into your rotations, because you have a math and a literacy activity to do over 5 days. And of course, there's an inquiry component that's linked to English that will take you a whole term to complete, if that's how deep and comprehensive you would like to go. In my classroom, that's exactly what I did. It's deep learning. So once you get started, you don't have to think about anything else, because this activity runs up to 8 or 10 weeks, especially after children have still got to do their presentation. So that's your integrated learning area taken care of. Now, all you need to do is to go to the show notes where I will leave a link for you. So go there now after this episode, get the lesson plan, save yourself hours of time, and instead do what you really love, teach. As an extra bonus, when you purchase the lesson plan, you automatically qualify to join the Blooming community. It's an exclusive group away from Facebook, away from the distraction of social media, where you can mingle with like-minded folk, ask questions, and get the support I know you so desperately are looking for. I know that because people in my group have already told me that's what they want. I can't wait to serve you more. Please get on with a lesson plan. And if you need help or you want to ask a question, just send me an email at contact@bloomingcurious.com. I'm here for you. And remember, people, curiosity is your superpower. So until next week, stay blooming curious. Go to the show notes, download your lesson plan, and get your life back and get those students engaged in hands-on projects right now. You can even start tomorrow. I'll see you next week.